as far as when I come to a new division or I'm new on a fire too, that's one of the first things I do. Start talking to the guys that have been there. Hey, what happened the last few days? We have any weather patterns going on here? What's going on? Because it's really critical to know those things, because that's what's going to help you in your job in the coming days, is kind of having that information. And the guys who have been there and they've seen it, that's important data that you need to compile. And it's frustrating sometimes for me when guys don't do that. When they come in and they're just, oh well, I know fire, or I know this, right? But you might not know this fire, you might not know this land. Do you understand the weather patterns in this particular area at this particular time? Or do we have anything that's happening like clockwork here, maybe with the winds or the RHs or anything like that could definitely impact the fire activity. And to me, those bits of information are critical, and so it's important to gather that data. And it can be frustrating when people come in and they just think they know. I mean, I think is a big downfall for a lot of individuals, is just feeling too confident in their job. Hey, I've done this for however long, or I know this, or I took this class, or I did that. And it's important to be open to new information, important to be fluid with your learning and your ability to adapt on these. The thing with a fire is that it's so, things change from second to second, and every little bit of information that you have to understand how those changes might occur or what might happen, it doesn't mean it's going to happen that way, but you at least have that information, you have that understanding. So even guys that, like I talk about some of these old timers or something that have been around for a long time, well, maybe they've already fought a fire in that area, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Well, maybe they understand the topography a little bit better than some of the younger guys that are in there. They've hiked through it, they've worked through it. Maybe they understand, the fuel loading and stuff that, is hard to see just from the road or, from wherever your vantage point is. And, I think it's important to take that information into account.